Hey guys, and welcome back to Scarlet Sprites. It's October already. It's really tough to believe that. 2021 has been a really strange year in some ways, and maybe even more so than 2020 because it's like living in this limbo state of affairs with what's on or off, or what's open or what's closed. But somehow, here we are heading into the final quarter of 2021, and that means October. And one of the things I've historically done for myself in the past is give the arcade lineup a Halloween vibe to it for the month. And this is about as ambitious and as excited, I should say, as I get about seasonal decorating. So I'll share a peek here of what is going on with different machines, and you guys can feel free to call out other options or choices as we go along. First up is the Neo Geo machine, and this is where the seasonal rotation originated for me. Coming right out of the gate with the first game in this video is Nightmare in the Dark. I probably shouldn't have started with this because it's a tough act to follow theme-wise, but yes, this is maybe the Halloween game for Neo Geo. Play as a gravekeeper and have to battle it out with all kinds of ghosts and mummies, Snow Brothers style. Not a bad game by any stretch, but it can get repetitive. Mutation Nation takes up the second slot, one of the few beat-em-ups on the Neo Geo. This one is arguably the best. As you can see, it spins a sci-fi theme that pits you against, well, mutants. And yes, as the beat-em-ups on the Neo Geo go, I know none of them are particularly outstanding, but this one holds my attention a bit longer than some of the others like Burning Fight. It also plays just a tad sharper than Robo Army. No disrespect there, I do love Robo Army, but Mutation Nation does get the nod for October. Yeah, Metal Slug 3. Let's be clear here, you should always have a reason to have one of the Metal Slug games loaded up, especially if it's the best Metal Slug. Those familiar already understand the Halloween tie-in here with the zombie section. Spewing large volumes of blood to annihilate enemies is certainly unique and one that fits right into today's theme. It also happens to be a game style that is completely different from our first two picks, which gives some variation between titles on the 4-slot Big Red. Speaking of variation, I'm going to lean more on the overall fall theme for this last one as opposed to Halloween and go with Football Frenzy. I do like this game in small doses, and unsurprisingly, where it really shines is in 2-player mode. And this rounds out the Neo Geo Halloween fall lineup nicely with most Americans' favorite fall Sunday activity, and gives the Neo Geo Big Red 4 unique genres of games to play while your leaves are turning colors outside. Alright, here's Virtua Racing, and realistically, what did you think I was going to do with this? It's Virtua Racing, it is what it is. Moving on to the very versatile Astro City, this guy will sport ghouls and ghosts for the season. I do not actually own this board. Many of you already know that this is running via the fantastic Mr. Cade solution that turns your Mister into a JAMA-capable multi-board for your arcade machine. Given all the options that Mister unlocks, there are some other choices you could have gone with here. I was actually thinking Versus Castlevania as a runner-up, but opted for the tough as nails Capcom side-scroller instead. The beauty of the Mr. Cade is, of course, you can switch games remotely without ever having to even open the cab up, so if I want to switch back and forth, I certainly can do that. Virtua Fighter, and I don't know what you want from me. I got nothing for you on this one. It plays Virtua Fighter. Alright, the Sega Blast City. This is my Naomi 2 cabinet. For the spooky season on this one, I'm going with Zombie Revenge, a beat-em-up spin-off from the House of the Dead series. Like many of the Naomi arcade titles, this one is also available on Dreamcast, and once again, this certainly isn't overly deep. It's not necessarily a top game for me or anything of that nature, but it does fit the theme and helps to sell the vibe of an arcade at Halloween. I know I said this earlier about Football Frenzy, but this is another good one with a second player. It's some real 3D mediocrity for sure, but one that you can kind of have more fun with when laughing it off with a friend. The Midway Sports Station machine. And I know what you're thinking, I can't do anything about this one either. It's just football and basketball, and football at least ties into the fall theme, but I'll really stretch this a little further and remind you that the Universal Monsters are available in Showtime. So go ahead and encourage your partygoers to play as one of those classic characters. Entering Frank 1931 will let you play as Frankenstein, for example, And some of the other characters include the Mummy, the Bride of Frankenstein, Wolfman, and the creature from the Black Lagoon. More than enough to get a 4-player all-monster game going if you want. And here's Virtua Cop 2. Well, it's out of commission because I've been spending so much time on the Konami and Smash TV cabinets, and I know this is haphazard because it's not actually running, but the wiring for Virtua Cop 2 is exactly the same as what is used for the original House of the Dead game. So you can swap the two boards out back and forth pretty seamlessly. So ideally, just pretend under normal circumstances that this is running my House of the Dead arcade board set. Hopefully we can actually see that work in 2022. Switching over to the Big Blue, I have Darkstalkers 3 up and running. And I'll be honest, I really don't know the Darkstalkers series all that well. It was never something that interested me back in the day, and I just didn't keep up with it. Now sure, I've played a few rounds, and I may even know a few special moves now that I own this, but that's as far as it really goes for me in Darkstalkers. I'm maybe even less than a casual at this one, but that doesn't mean that I don't appreciate the artwork and the overall style of these games. Capcom no doubt knew what they were doing when they produced a fighter, and this plays as fluidly as many of their other top-tier games. This is a must for getting some A-quality Capcom fighting worked into your October lineup. Finally, for the Sega STV machine, I feel like this has to be one of the Cotton games. We'll roll with Cotton 2 for today's sake, and if you're familiar, then you already know that unlike some of the games I decorated the arcade with tonight, Cotton 2 is actually a pretty good one. So it's also a shooter which adds a little bit more variety into what's running on the machines here in the basement. You have a witch riding a broom battling monsters, and if that isn't Halloween, then I don't know what is. So those are the arcade games that comprise the Halloween or fall lineup in the basement. When I started this video, I thought it would be more of a stretch fun idea, but it actually turned out pretty legit in my opinion. All those games have decent rationale for an October party. It's kind of cool getting them all up and running and seeing that theme kind of surround you in an aisle, if only for a little bit of time each night. So let me ask you guys what Halloween or horror themed games you guys are rocking this October. Did I miss something in my own lineup that would be worthy of switching to or adding in that I don't have shown here? Let me know in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching today. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will catch you all next time. Later, guys.